Some people think that retirement marks the end of your purposeful life. But Robbie and I think that it's just the beginning of our final third, and we have the opportunity now to redefine what a purposeful life really is.
Yeah, and today we're going to walk through the 5 steps with you that we're working on in order to accomplish this.
If you're new to our channel, I'm Rich.
And I'm Robbie.
And our channel's called Before It's Too Late. We titled it that way because we wanted to make sure that we had our ducks in a row before it was too late as we prepared for retirement. Well, now I'm 4 weeks into retirement and we've already learned some lessons. And now we're going to try to maybe have this plan in place for how we're going to do it going forward. Maybe the first thing that we need to talk about is, does retirement need a redefinition in the first place?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, I think, I go back to my grandparents, my grandfather on both sides. Well, one of them worked until he was in his 80s, so I guess I really can't count him too much. But the other one retired at a normal age in his 60s. And when he retired, he kind of just settled into the relax and golf and just kind of
take afternoon naps.
Take naps and not really, I hate to say this, but maybe wasn't accomplishing much.
Maybe didn't have much purpose.
Right. And today's, I guess, people of our age, I'm 59.
I'm 57. And I think we look ahead like, okay, hey, if we live till 90, we have 30 years-ish of, okay, what are we going to do? So I feel like we need to be more purposeful.
Yeah, because today's people of our age, we live longer.
Right.
We can plan to live well into our 80s or maybe even longer than that. So in order to do that, you need to have a plan to make that life livable.
Right.
Right? So step 1 in redefining what retirement is for us is the idea that we need to reclaim our identity. And I know I'm not alone in that. For the 40 years that I was working, I thought of myself as that. I was a policeman and then I was a security guy. And that's kind of how I defined my life. I was a dad and a husband and other things too. But I think the biggest part of it for a lot of people is what you do for a living. And I think now that we're in this stage, we have to answer the question, and you will have to answer the question, who am I now?
Right, exactly. Because I think when you step away from your career, it's like, okay, you've done that for so long. That's kind of what's defined you. And now you're not doing that. So how are you going to identify yourself now? Like, what are you identifying with? How do you redefine who you are?
It's an opportunity, though, to find new things to be passionate about.
Right.
It's an opportunity to maybe educate yourself in some new area. I like to think I was pretty good at the job I did. I could apply that same level of dedication and effort into something new.
Right, for sure. That's a great example. So step 2 that Rich and I are working on is building our purpose. Basically, okay, what are we going to do? For me, I like to have things to do. I like to be busy. I like to have a little checklist in my head. I feel like I function better mentally and physically if I have a goal that I'm working towards all the time.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of ways to kind of find that purpose. And we've talked about them in previous videos too. And we're both doing some volunteering. That's one way to use it. If you want to use kind of what you've done as a career, maybe this is an opportunity to mentor people that are new in your field.
Right, in that profession, sure.
Another way to kind of build some purpose in your life is maybe you've always thought you'd be really good at something that you could build a new business on if you have the drive or the desire to do so. Right. It could be something that you craft normally, right? Like
make t-shirts.
Yeah, maybe you're going to make t-shirts or jewelry.
Sell them on Etsy.
Yeah, or maybe it's just a matter of like thrifting and then trying to resell stuff. Whatever it might be to give you some purpose and to give you sort of a reason to get up in the morning. I guess lean into that so that you can allow that to kind of fill you up a little bit more.
Right. And I think like one thing that I've noticed in both Rich and I as we've stepped into this stage is just having more time in I'm not journaling because neither one of us journal, but both of us have been so much more purposeful in our time with God and being in the Bible and studying and really just kind of looking for direction, I think, from God on what do you want us to do?
Yeah, and maybe to make it a little bit easier when you actually get to the retirement stage. I mean, Robbie mentioned journaling.
Mhm.
Maybe it's as you're, in your 50s, when you're finding little things that kind of push your buttons, write them down and kind of keep an idea, a list of things that you want to do going forward.
Right.
Step 3 in trying to make sure that your life is still purposeful would be to actually be purposeful about cultivating your relationships. One of the biggest, I guess, downfalls of retirement is a lot of folks find themselves in a state of kind of social isolation.
Right, because I think you've those people that you have worked with all of those years that you've invested in, that have become friends and family to you. Not that you can't continue to pursue that because you can, but it's just different because you're no longer seeing them every day. So you do have to be more purposeful in being able to stay in contact with those people.
Yeah, it definitely has to be an intentional thing that you're doing because, they still have jobs that they have to go to. And even if you just drop in there, you have to remember that you're dropping in on them while they're at work.
Right.
And they still have things to get done. But there's also the idea that you need to open yourself up for new relationships.
For sure.
And whether that's through some of the things that you've decided to do, volunteering or mentoring or whatever it is, you have to be willing to, I guess, look at people in a way like, should that person be my friend?
Right. Right. You have to be intentional about it. Like you can't just go and do these activities that you're doing purposefully and not making an attempt to connect with someone, right? So spending a little bit of time asking that person, hey, what's going on? How are you? Where'd you come from? Tell me about yourself.
And that's definitely not something that's normally in my comfort zone. A lot more it is in hers. I'll give you an example. We went and played pickleball the other day, and it's a group of people our age and older, a few that are younger than us, that play. And when I wasn't playing, I would go sit by myself, right? Rather than talking to the people that I don't know, like Robbie does. And
Yeah.
I need to be better about that. And again, that needs to be an intentional act on my part because, you never know that one of those people might just be, I don't want to say my next best friend because that sounds weird.
But it could be.
But they could be just someone that I'd really connect with and could learn from and could really kind of do some of my life with.
That's right. Exactly.
Step 4 in this process of redefining our retirement is the idea that we really need to stay active and healthy.
Yeah. And Rich and I both have been pretty good about making this a priority. I think just as anyone normal, we have ups and downs. We do really good for a while and then we're like, not doing so good. But I think now with retirement, that's definitely something where we are being very intentional about getting out, taking a walk every day, getting our steps in. I like to strength train, so I do some lifting of weights in the morning, and just trying to be more purposeful. I know for me, the physical part of it helps me mentally. So it's super important to me to stay physically active.
Yeah, and I think the idea that you can do stuff to increase your longevity. Like you have
Absolutely.
to do these things in order to live your best retirement life.
Right.
If you can put some time in to walking or strength training or whatever it is, not only does that pay dividends physically to your body and mentally, like Robbie said, but it also kind of going to give you more time to enjoy more of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives us the opportunity to stay active with our grandkids. I mean, they're little rugrats. They want to wrestle with grandpa all the time. And I don't want to wrestle with them. So I'm like, go to your grandpa, go to him. He can wrestle with you. But doing those kinds of things definitely give you that opportunity to be able to provide future benefits for yourself.
And I think it's not just about the physical activity either. The mental things you can do. Like for me, one of the things that kind of keeps me engaged is believe it or not, I play video games on my computer. I had a console for a long time, but now I'm on a computer, and I can sit in there for hours manipulating a city, trying to make it more, to make it grow and to do different things. Or I can play games with other people and socialize through that. Granted, most of those people are 12-year-olds that are probably beating me at whatever game we're playing, but it's keeping me mentally engaged. And I've heard, whether it's true or not, that the hand-eye coordination that goes with that will help me to stave off Alzheimer's, possibly. I mean, might be an old wives' tale, but I can use that to make an excuse for playing video games.
Right. And that's something like I have not invested time in that. But certainly I do think, I mean, I just mentioned to Rich today, it's like, I like word puzzles or word find games or, crossword puzzles or whatever, but I've just never allowed myself to like sit down and actually do that. And I do think that that's something that I want to do, just to kind of challenge my own mental.
Yeah, you got to keep those synapses firing.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so step 5 is planning with intention. So this not only involves having a financial plan, but it also involves having a lifestyle plan. Like, what is your future looking like?
Yeah, I mean, it could just be as simple as putting what you're going to do on a calendar.
Right.
And then just being able to take a look at it and determine, when can I do the next thing I want to do?
Right.
Because we've already found that your calendar fills up kind of quick, depending on, your level of engagement in the community and whether you have family and friends nearby. But one of the things we've already talked about is we're going to have to learn to say no,
right,
so that we don't overcommit and then not be able to enjoy this retirement that we're trying to be purposeful about. When you're busy trying to plan your life with intention, you do have to leave some room in there for the unexpected, though. I mean, you never know when life's just going to throw a bump in your road that you're going to have to jump up or go around or whatever it might be. And that might be Xing out a week on the calendar that you had totally full. And you can't let that just throw your life into a tailspin. You have to be able to kind of evolve. Retirement is a season of your life that's not static. I mean, if you think back on the 60 years that I've had before, I can't count how many times I thought I was going to be doing one thing and something else came up that was either more important or fit better with where my life was going at the time. So you have to be a little flexible to avoid, just spinning out a little bit. Our 5 areas for us to work on in order to help our retirement be purposeful is going to be to make sure that we have a new definition for our identity.
And we're definitely focusing on what is the purpose. What purpose do we have now that we have left our careers?
We want to make sure that we're working on our relationships, both the ones that we already had and trying to find new ones.
Also looking at our activity, like what are we doing for activities? How can we be more active physically and mentally?
And then finally, planning with intention. Like we want to make sure that we are writing stuff on our calendar and we're following through with the things that we commit to. So being intentional. So those are the things that we're going to work on. We'd really love to hear from you if we're missing things or whatever it might be, or if you're already retired and you've got advice for us, please leave us a comment. Let us know, let us know what we're missing and where we should be going. Now, as I said, I'm 4 weeks into retirement, but also, like I said, life has already thrown some curves at us. If you want to see how the first week or so went, check out this video here. Thanks for watching. God bless.